How did I go this long without ever trying the Casio F91W? I've been collecting watches for over a decade, and this might be one of the most popular. Oh my god, I love it. I bought this watch for $16 because this and some of its variants may be the most popular watches in the world ever. It seems like nearly everyone has a story about these watches, everyone but me, yet. I think for a lot of people, for normies, people with healthy, productive hobbies, this F91W is fine, but it's nothing special. It does the job and it does it well, and maybe most importantly, it does it for very little money. It's not a watch that most people think about, even if they're wearing it. They just wear it because it works. But you see, I'm not a normal person. I'm a watch collector. And not just a watch collector, but I also make videos about watches. Maybe you've seen some of my videos. Maybe you're watching one right now. The call is coming from inside the video. What that means is that I own a bunch of fancy boy watches, and I've borrowed and spent time with many, many more expensive and collectible watches. Mostly mechanical watches, like pieces that take months to make and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. You might think that I'm bragging, but I can tell you that spending thousands of dollars on watches is not something to be proud of. If you're like me, you should hide your shame from the world. People should point and laugh at watch collectors, and by collectors I mean me, and by point and laugh I mean write critical YouTube comments. But because of all the high-end luxury, uptight, overpriced, over-designed, overhyped watches I've been exposed to, or even owned, because those are the norm for me, this watch, this right here, this excites me. It's just simple and cheap and light and small, and it's ubiquitous. All the stuff that most luxury watches are not, and this is refreshing. 35 years. This same watch has been in production for 35 years with the same functions and same design and even the same reference number since 1989. You can see it shown in this Casio catalog from 1990. You can also see that it wasn't the first digital watch from Casio. It didn't have the most features, and while it was still pretty affordable, it wasn't the cheapest, or certainly not the most expensive watch in the catalog. It's not the largest or smallest Casio, it's not the most rugged or the daintiest, it's just right in the middle. It's the Goldilocks digital watch. It's just right. The F91W was designed in the late 1980s by the man with this name that I'm not gonna try to pronounce, who last I checked still works at Casio and still designs G-Shock watches, which are basically tougher, bigger versions of this watch. Because while this is pretty great, it's smallish and it isn't entirely a sports watch. See, it's only 34.5 millimeters wide, 37.5 millimeters long, and a mere 8.5 millimeters thick. Between the size and the plastic parts, it weighs only 21 grams, which in the world of watches is almost negative mass. My arm actually floated up when I put this on my
7-inch wrist.
The F91W has only 30 meters of water resistance, which is my primary issue with the watch. Casio says that it's splash proof, but that you shouldn't swim or bathe or shower with this watch on. Lucky for me, I don't shower or bathe. Casio lists the price for $22.95. I bought this for $16 on Amazon, and I've seen them for as little as $13. I've also seen some replicas of this watch. Yeah, people actually make replicas, and usually they specify that they're not from Casio. And it seems crazy, but it is a reminder that the difference of $10 is a big difference for a lot of people in the world. I try to remember that when I spend $12 on my Trenta double shot orange mocha frappuccino. Diabetes. The watch tells the time in 12-hour or 24-hour modes, it has a chronograph function, it has an alarm, it tells the day and date, and oh yeah, it has a terrible backlight. Backlight is a good word for it because it mostly just illuminates the back of the screen and not actually the time. So yeah, the watch isn't perfect, no watch is perfect, but maybe the Invicta Reserve Gladiator is perfect, but no other watch, not even my new little friend, is perfect. But this Casio is, can I say this? It's beautiful. I think it looks incredible. And again, you gotta remember my context. I've worn tourbillons and gold watches and watches that people wait years and years for the privilege of spending money on. It's so dumb. But I think this design is f***ing delightful. I'm not joking when I say that the red, blue, and gold coloring is kinda elegant. or when I say that the screen is crisp and it's appealing, or when I say that the shape of the case is breathtaking when it plays with the light. Okay, that part I'm joking about, but I do think the case shape is great. Using and setting the watch is pretty simple. There's a button for changing modes, and for the chronograph, one button starts and stops the timer and another resets the counter, just like a mechanical chronograph. Except on this, the reset button is also the backlight button. Checkmate, Rolex Daytona, where's your backlight button? The one function that's missing for me is a second time zone display or a world time mode. I'd use that more than an alarm or chronograph, but the lack of features of this watch is one of the things that makes it great, in the same way that my own lack of redeeming qualities makes me great. It's the notes you don't play, that's what's important, right? I've been wearing this watch a lot, no kidding. In the morning, I can reach for a Rolex or a Panerai or my beloved Omega Prof, but I've been wearing this F91W a lot, and I've been loving it. And I understand that to most people, it's nothing fancy, and they're damn right about that. It's not. But if you've got fancy already in your watch box, or you spend all day looking at photos of fancy or discussing fancy on forums or group chats, maybe try one of these. And if you don't own fancy, if you can't afford a luxury watch, or you're just smart enough not to own one, you should know that this fancy boy right here, with all his exposure to high-end timepieces and his lack of redeeming qualities and his new pattern of speaking in the third person, he adores this cheap, small digital watch.